Let's see. Well, I'll get to that. Let's see. I'm putting some bookends around Lynn's development cost, like I'd like for Will Cullen to do. This is let's see. This is a SharePoint site that I. These are the requests coming in right here. Let's see. If there's any question about whether Lynn was asking for this stuff, that here's him on December 26th of 2015. These are the prime targets right here. You can see he's given me a township right there. That's 20 to 36 square miles, but just these sections. Uh, anyway, the story later on, after they've had the Ferrari for a year and just left it in the garage and have been taking the bus everywhere. That's the analogy that they later come up with. They say, that they hadn't even tried it out. Lynn's going to go get a patent on the, he's going to research how to, do that for me. But they have the Ferrari, they have the Lamborghini, the baddest Lamborghini around, and they just leave it in the garage and take the bus instead. That's the equivalent. So that's not likely to have happened that way. Here's how it really happened. And see, Microsoft's not letting me forge this right here. This is me, this is us. By the way, these are tasks that he gives me that later on the task disappear because I've completed the tasks is the thing. But that we're just taking a dip back in. We're putting some bookends around it. Like this is him telling me to do it. Okay. But that's also I'm certifying that that's true. I'll say this. I'll give this to the FBI. No problem. I would like for them to just take the body of evidence that I have already. U.S. Postal Inspector as well. So let's see. What was I going to do? Something else. Long Point Minerals. This is the subsidiary of the Canadian Pension Plan. That's why it came through the SEC. Their first, this is Long Point 2 that I was showing you. That's 850 million. The first one was 830, so you add those together. That's $1.676 billion. Canadian Pension Fund. I'd like to know, because they were being presented something. Lynn was telling me to come up with a presentation. I was thinking, maybe I could take the same presentation over here and just hand it to these guys. I want to see what, they have something called due diligence. They have somebody looking into stuff before they just go throw in $850 million in something, Canadian dollars, but dollars nonetheless. They got somebody looking into it, making sure it's not a sham. So I'd like to know what all they did. I'd like to see the communications back and forth there. Because I think that it's striking that there's such a tight correlation between Lynn talking to me and them doing sales the next day. It's uncanny, like 3 in a row. It's like hitting, if you pick 3 random days during a summer, you just pick 3 days. Like you get all 3 of them on the day. Like there's only 3 days and they occur randomly. And you pick them all. That's like hitting the, like the numbers in the lottery, 3 of them. What a coincidence that is. They do the same thing. Like the thing that their company does is what my program does. And we'll do a deep dive for Luke for Will Cullen and them. But tying up the little interval there, the 23-minute interval, what Lynn's doing, I'm betting. And I'll challenge Sid. He was calling Sid and Luke, and there was a conversation that happened after 3:38, somewhere around there, and before 4:01. I'll bet you that there was some communications there, because that's what's happening. Because Lynn is, he's panicking, thinking I'm going in there. And he is calling, and then the cover story, they say, okay, say this. And then, so I'll bet you money that let me see those phone records. I just, see if there was some phone calls that day. Also, Rob Blue, be very interesting to see that. throughout this whole thing. Because they thought that they were not going to have to provide something like that. And Rob Blue is a savvy, seasoned attorney and knows the ins and outs, and would, but I believe that they were mistaken. Okay. So that's why the FBI wants to look at this, is the Canadian Pension Fund. The Securities and Exchange Commission would also, and the U.S. Postal Inspector, because it's fraud. I can pick the days off the timeline and tell you when they mailed it. Okay. Anyway, so I'm just adding on there. So thank y'all for listening.